Cuban-American Brian Mendoza, WBC interim junior middleweight champion, is looking for the challenge to bring home victory when he travels to Australia October 15th to take on Tszyu, the Soul Snatcher. Let's talk about this fight. The sport of boxing continues on its upward trajectory to put on pretty darn good fights. And we'll see another one coming up this October 15th in Australia, where WBO champion Tszyu will defend his junior middleweight title against WBC interim junior middleweight champion Brian Mendoza. So this will be a unification of sorts. And Mendoza, who is coming on like gangbusters, is proven to be a fighter that is worth keeping an eye on. And though Tszyu has had some success and is undefeated, Mendoza, though he has 2 losses on his record, is a fighter that has fought tremendously well over his last 3 straight fights. So Tszyu, who's 23-0 with 17 KOs, is going to be defending his WBO title in his homeland. Tszyu is 5'8.5" with a 72-inch reach, and in his last fight in June of this year, he KO'd Carlos Ocampo in a brutal 1-round blitz. Ocampo never got out of the gates, and Tszyu was on top of him. Similarly to his previous fight, which was in March of this year, and he had a victory over Tony Harrison, a grizzled veteran who took him a few extra rounds, but Harrison's performance nonetheless was quite similar. But enter Brian Mendoza in this fight, a man who packs a punch. Mendoza's coming into this fight with his record of 22-2 with 16 KOs. He stands 5'10" with a 70-inch reach. He's 29 years old, an orthodox fighter. In his last outing, in April of this year, he stopped Sebastian Fundora in a really big, somewhat of an upset. I didn't have it as an upset because I picked Mendoza, but it was a scintillating knockout where he stopped Fundora, and now he gets the chance to fight for the real WBO title, something that he has looked for. Tszyu, who is accustomed to fighting at home, will be safe at home. The home field advantage which he has enjoyed over his last several fights, he can take this fight and take it to Brian Mendoza, being a fish that's in a familiar pond. However, sometimes that can come back to bite you. Tszyu, when he traveled to the US to face Terrell Gausha back in March of 2022, had a rough start where he was dropped in the first round against Gausha. He went on to a unanimous decision where people were talking about pump the brakes on Tszyu, the Soul Snatcher. Now, when you talk about Mendoza, the Cuban-American is looking for his first world title, but he has the type of experience coming into this fight, facing quality opposition. His last 3 victories, beginning with Fundora going back, he also, in November of 2022, KO'd Jason Rosario, and in March of 2022, he had a TKO over Benjamin Whitaker. Now, if you go back to September of 2021, he lost a unanimous decision to Jesus Alejandro Ramos Jr., who is coming on like gangbusters himself. But the experience of having been in a fight with a fighter like Ramos means everything, because that means he doesn't have to be fearful of what Tszyu brings. Tszyu is a tough and heady fighter. He's physically strong. He's a very good puncher, but he lacks boxing technique. And that's where Mendoza may be able to pick through the salad that Tszyu brings on this tape. What do you mean by that, Stormy? Well, Tim is a brawler, and you never brawl with a brawler. Now, Mendoza can brawl, but he can box as well, and he packs the type of punch that will make a fighter respect him. If Tim has to box in this match, Mendoza can turn it into a fight, and Tim, in front of his home people, wouldn't want to be upstaged, so he might want to exchange with Mendoza. And that's where Mendoza will have an opportunity, because just like in his fight with Sebastian Fundora, one of his peak strengths is mid to close range battling. He is comfortable on the inside, and he has the type of power that makes you respect what he does. Now, Tszyu, who's a couple of inches shorter in height, may not want to languish on the inside. He may want to fight at mid to distance, but he's not that great a boxer. Mendoza has to worry about Tszyu coming out trying to apply the pressure heavy and harsh early on. And if he can withstand that, back him up, make him respect something, that's when you look at what's going on and you see that Tszyu will have to have a plan B. Now, when you think about his strengths, they're his durability and fortitude. See, there are questions to be asked. We saw him get dropped by Terrell Goucher, who was not a noted puncher, but Mendoza is. Will he run into something against Mendoza? His durability will be put to the test in that aspect, because if he can't take a shot from Mendoza, it's going to be a problem. He'll be pumped up because of the crowd. Again, that home field advantage is what's cooking for Tszyu. If this were on neutral grounds, I would pick Mendoza hands down. There's something about when you go into another man's country, and there's things that can be on the table, there are things that could be behind the scenes that the public have no knowledge of. But I understand how this works in the sport of boxing. So Mendoza is going to have to watch for a Harrison-like situation where you don't fight your fight. You fight like you're fighting with your hands tied. And that's one of those intangibles that could be something going on behind the scenes. Will someone have told him, "You're not winning this one, son. You can put on a good performance, but you're not going out of here with those titles"? It's a high probability. In the sport of boxing, things like that happen more often than you know. And that's why Tszyu should be a favorite because of fighting at home. is he really the better fighter? I'm not 100% certain on that. I do believe that both men are more close than one may imagine in their abilities. The home field advantage is something that I just can't let go of when you talk about this fight and what may transpire between these two men. But there can always be a chance for an upset when a fighter decides to go for it and look to not be denied. And there, I have a little resolute of hope for Brian Mendoza. He can crack, and if he catches Tszyu clean, if he catches him in exchanges, that's the best time, because he wouldn't be expecting to get hit. He's been boiling over guys that have been covering up and cowering back. But if Mendoza is looking to shoot his shot, he can catch him in an exchange where he's most vulnerable. And that's where his opportunity lies. And when you think about the trainer that he has in his corner, Ismail Salas, that is an advantage as well. A very good trainer can take you a long way and do just the proper things to get you over the hump. So I'm favoring Mendoza, but I understand where the fight is taking place. But what do you think? This is Stormy B-Man. Shout out to the mighty LDBC and Liberated Perspective, a third eye view of the world. For more content such as this, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Let me know what your thoughts are on this big fight and who you may have. Peace to everyone out there, and everyone please remain safe.